Hello, everybody. It's Miss Ginny from the Rotary Children's Library in Drayton Valley. Welcome to Crafting with Ginny. Today, our craft is a mummy for Halloween. So it's a yarn wrapped mummy. Pretty easy to do, not a problem. So what you're going to need is you're going to need to print off the instructions and the template, which is on our website under programs. And there's a template there you can see. And I'm just going to grab my scissors here. You're going to need a pair of scissors. You're going to need a paint tray and a paintbrush. You're going to need some black paint. I've used acrylic paint. And a little bit of glue. You can use some tacky glue if you want. And some large black and white Google eyes. Or if you have medium size, whatever size you want. The other thing you're going to want is a piece of cardboard. Now I used a nice flat piece of cardboard and some white yarn. The other thing that I have used is I like to use like a paint tray. I find it easier even than newspaper, but you can use newspaper. It's just that it doesn't stick then if you do it in the tray. It's kind of nice. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cut out your template. Once you've cut that out, and you'll need a pencil as well, then you'll trace it on to your cardboard. So once you have it traced onto your cardboard, then you're going to want to paint it black. Now, because this video, it takes a little while for it to dry, not too long. And you can use a blow dryer to dry it faster if you want, which is what I did. So I just painted it in my tray. That's why I had that tray. So the other thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to, once it's dry, then you're going to take your scissors, and your next step is to cut just little slits all the way around on your mummy shape, your template. Kind of looks like a gingerbread man, doesn't it? Only it's in black. So I'm just cutting little slits along the side there, and that's so that we can catch the wool on them. So you want to do it all the way around. So it's going to take a little bit of time. And of course, this week we're focusing on Halloween crafts. Now you just need to cut them every so often. You don't have to cut a ton of them, but it's good to have some spaces that you can put your wool into to catch. And you don't want to cut in too far. As you can see, I've just made little cuts all the way around like that. It almost looks like when you're stitching something, but you're not stitching here. You're just going to be wrapping wool. So that's your first thing after you've painted and your template is dry. Your mummy template is dry. Now, mummy, we're talking about M-U-M-M-Y, not M-O-M-M-Y, not your mum at home. These are called mummies because they're usually wrapped in cloth. And today we are wrapping ours in yarn, white yarn. So I'm just going to cut all the way around. And it, like I said, it takes a little bit of time, so take your time. Don't cut your fingers. And you want to do it all the way around so that you have lots of spaces that you can wrap your wool through. It just catches on the wool when you're wrapping. And then you're going to want a lot of yarn. So I wouldn't even cut your yarn. I would just keep it on the roll because you're going to need a lot of yarn to wind around your mummy. So hopefully you have some white yarn. If you don't have white, use another color, but white is usually what a mummy has, is white cloth. And I'm just about halfway around, just about there with my cuts. Now you can, when you start to wrap, you can start at any end. I started at the bottom and worked my way up. I think that might be the simpler thing to do, but it's up to you where you want to start wrapping. I just found it easier to start at the bottom. Now I'm almost all the way around, so just a few more cuts. Again, you don't have to cut in very deep, just enough where yarn will catch onto it. There, you can see that I have made little cuts all the way around. All right. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your yarn. Now you may also want a little bit of tape, but to start with, you're going to put your yarn, and I'm going to start on the bottom. So you're just going to take a little bit of yarn and you're going to stick it through one of those cuts to hold it in place. Now, you may want a little bit of tape to put on the back of your dummy, or your mummy, I shouldn't say, it's called a mummy. If you want, you can. I wouldn't put too much tape, just a slight little bit just to hold it in place initially. So you can see I've put a little bit of tape on the back. Now, from there, you can start winding your yarn around until you get your mummy wrapped. You want your mummy pretty well wrapped, and go anywhere you want to your other cuts. So I'm going across and I'm just making wraps through different, just putting it in different cuts to make sure that I've got my mummy wrapped pretty well. Sometimes you might even go in the same slit that you made just to put a wrap on there. So I just keep the wool on my lap, and then I've got it in place. I can hold it in place with my legs there. Let's just get rid of this one little piece of tape that's sticking out there. Okay, so now I'm going to just continue wrapping. And remember, you're just pulling it a little bit into the slits. So you're going to keep wrapping. And like I said, sometimes you might end up wrapping it on more than one, like one slip more than once. So those little cuts that you made, we're calling those slits. And you just keep wrapping until you've got, you can see that I've already got his one leg kind of on the way there, just about done. So this takes a little bit of time too, but you can do it. It's a lot of fun. Sometimes your wool catches on another slit. That's okay. Just keep wrapping your yarn around in different slits. And crisscross it over whenever you want. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just meant to be wrapped wherever you want it wrapped. Right? You're going across. 2 different slits. And you got to keep pulling your wool. You can see he's starting to get wrapped here, my mummy. Now I'm not going to forget the other leg, so I'm going back over to some slits here to make sure I got the other leg wrapped. That's why you need lots of yarn, and that's why you don't want to cut it to start with, because you don't know how much you're going to use for sure.